This week, Americans celebrate Independence Day by eating hot dogs, talking about how much more we like the French than the British, and unfortunately, driving drunk. More people will die of drunk driving this weekend than any other week of the year. But I don't think driving drunk is that bad. In general, I think being drunk is good. And to prove that, I'm gonna spend the next few days wearing these drunk goggles. Just kidding. Here's what we're actually gonna do. To see if being drunk is really that big a deal, I'm gonna do a series of challenges with these drunk goggles. I'm gonna test being drunk versus being sober, if it's even possible drunk, and what daily life is like with these goggles on. We'll drive some cars later, but first let's do a field sobriety test. Now, I've often thought that being a little bit drunk is actually helpful in these things, so let's put that to the test. First, I'll do it without the goggles. That was too easy. Now let's try with the goggles. I mean, honestly, it was a little shaky in the beginning, but I think I got the handle of it by the end. In retrospect, no, I did not. Wearing these things isn't exactly like being drunk, but it is pretty disorienting. It's not like I thought it would be. Let's try something a little more athletic. There are some sports that I am very good at, and skateboarding is not one of them. In fact, I had a serious injury when I was a little kid. So let's see what getting drunk does. Not good without the goggles, but I can do it. It's been a few days. Turns out it's very difficult to know if you are or are not filming when you're wearing these goggles. So I'm back in the park to prove that I can skateboard with them on. Wish me luck. I don't know why, but this is a lot easier than I thought it would be. I've never been great at skateboarding, but biking is another story. I used to competitively race mountain bikes, road bikes, and track bikes. So let's see how that works. All right, here we go. Oh. Nah, I don't like this. It's awkward. All right, first try was pretty bad. Let's do it again. That was a lot harder than I thought it would be. Score 1 for sobriety. There's a couple things I want to try that might not even be possible. One is this maze game. One trick with these goggles is to just get super close to the thing you're trying to see. That doesn't make your vision perfect, but it sure helps. Unfortunately, I've got a few more challenges coming up later where getting close is not possible. Alright, turns out that's super easy, but what about building a house of cards? These goggles, like drinking, mess with your depth perception. That makes this challenge really difficult. Can you name a more dynamic duo than drinking and golf? I'll wait. I'm gonna play a 3-hole match, drunk versus sober. I am terrible at golf, so for me, being a little bit drunk is usually helpful. This is a short par 3 course. Greens are small, fairways are tight, so wish me luck. Our first hole is 66 yards with sand short. First on the tee, me without goggles. And as you can see, I'm blocked out by trees. But I've got a solution for that. Found the sand. Oh my God. Oh. Now on the tee, me with goggles. How about that? That's my first shot, the sober ball. And that's the drunk ball. It's basically impossible. I'm gonna take an 8. Another short hole, 70 yards, small green, tight fairway. Let's see if we can do a little bit better on this one. Sober has the honor. Fairway. And now drunk. Fairway. After that last shot in a surprise upset, drunk has conceded the hole and the match to sober. Normally, I'm pretty good with chopsticks. But this is not normal. One of the hardest parts of wearing these goggles is dealing with small or detailed items. It's just really hard to see small things. That was totally fine. Let's try another one. Oh, we're sorry. Let's see how I do with handwriting. Obviously, I don't have the neatest handwriting. The hardest part here is knowing where your pen is on the page. So, handwriting, I'll let you be the judge. But handwriting doesn't really matter anyway. What about typing? Here are the rules. I'm gonna use monkey type and do 5 tests with and without the goggles. Fun fact, I actually didn't know how to type until a few years ago. $78. All right. This is probably my best ever typing score. But let's do a few more. Here's the moment of truth. Oh no. Oh, this is terrible. That went pretty poorly, but I think I've learned a few things. Gonna try again. I'm improving. So just pretend that my handwriting didn't spontaneously get better with the goggles on. This one's a win for sober. I have made hundreds, possibly thousands of paper airplanes in my life, but never have I made one with even a hint of alcohol. First, without. When I was folding this airplane, it occurred to me that I could probably do this with my eyes closed, and that perhaps doing it with the goggles on would be more difficult. Alright, that was easy. This is one of those things that's so easy and so low stakes that you can kind of do it in any circumstances. Like riding a bike. No problem. I've done a lot of general tests, but I'm also curious how these goggles would affect daily life. Doing things like watching YouTube videos from your favorite creator. Hit subscribe, you might have fun. Or cooking dinner. Few things go together quite like drinking and cooking. So let's see if I can open a beer. Easy. I accidentally got a gluten-free beer and it tastes like you think it might. Wearing these goggles is just incredibly strange. It's not anything like being drunk, really, but it makes it very hard to see. It's completely disorienting. And in that way, I guess it is kind of like being drunk. Standing still is pretty much fine, but as soon as you try to move around or see things in detail, it just doesn't work. See if you can guess what this is. Hand turkey was the correct answer. Oh, I don't see myself finishing this. Now I make dinner most nights, but can I do it wearing these goggles? You might be thinking, I don't want to see what happens with that knife. And after giving it a shot, I agree with you. It's not worth the risk. This is impossible. Dinner's got to be ready by 7:15, and we are not going to finish in these goggles. This one's a fail. Behind you is the moment you've been waiting for, drunk driving. Is it really that bad? I think it is bad, but there's at least one form of drunk driving that I don't have a problem with. And that, of course, is Mario Kart. The rules are simple. One race without the goggles and one race with them. Without was almost too easy. Winning was never in doubt. The race with the goggles was a little bit harder. I felt like I was doing well, but I couldn't read the screen. Turns out, I was wrong. Drunk driving is a terrible idea. Even a little bit drunk. So if you really want to be safe out there, hit subscribe, watch these videos, and do yourself and everyone else a favor. Don't be a statistic. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.